Tonight, we travel back into a quieter world, far from the noise of the present day. The air is warm. The sky is dark and deep above the wide valley of the Nile River. Small lights glow inside mudbrick homes. Somewhere in the distance, water moves gently through the darkness. A faint breeze drifts across the riverbank, carrying the smell of damp earth and growing reeds. Close your eyes and allow yourself to settle into this ancient landscape. The night is calm. The fields are still. The workers who spent the day beneath the Egyptian sun are resting now. Their tools lie quietly beside walls and doorways. The animals sleep near simple shelters. The busy sounds of daylight have faded away. Only the Nile continues its endless journey. For thousands of years, this river shaped the lives of countless people. It brought water to dry lands. It carried boats from village to village. It provided fish, fertile soil, and a rhythm that guided nearly every part of daily life. Tonight, we will follow the slow and patient work of planting crops along the Nile River. There are no great battles here. No rushing armies. No royal ceremonies. Instead, we will spend our time among ordinary people whose lives moved with the seasons of the river. We will walk dusty paths before sunrise. We will stand beside farmers as they prepare their fields. We will listen to the quiet sounds of villages waking in the early morning darkness. And as the hours pass, we will gently drift through the simple routines that sustained life in ancient Egypt. Part 1. The first light of dawn has not yet appeared. The village rests beneath a sky filled with stars. The moon hangs low over the Nile, casting a pale reflection upon the water. Everything feels soft and muted in the darkness. Inside a small mud-brick house, a farmer slowly wakes. The room is simple. A woven sleeping mat covers part of the floor. A few baskets sit against the wall. Clay jars hold grain and water. The air inside is warm from the previous day, though the cooler night breeze slips gently through a small opening near the roof. The farmer remains still for a few moments. Outside, the world is silent. Eventually he rises and steps onto the packed earth floor. His movements are slow and familiar. This routine has been repeated countless times across countless mornings. Nearby, other members of the household begin to wake as well. A wife stirs from sleep. Children remain curled beneath light coverings. An older relative quietly adjusts a blanket before sitting upright. No one speaks loudly. The day has not yet truly begun. A small oil lamp flickers softly, casting gentle shadows across the walls. Soon a simple breakfast is prepared. Bread made from grain harvested during the previous season is broken into pieces. Water is poured from clay jars. Sometimes onions or dates accompany the meal. Nothing is rushed. The family eats quietly. Outside, the stars slowly begin to fade. The eastern horizon grows lighter. The farmer gathers his tools. A wooden hoe rests near the doorway. A simple carrying basket waits nearby. Everything shows signs of long use. The wood has been worn smooth by countless hands. The door opens. Cool air greets him. The village is beginning to awaken. Other workers emerge from neighboring homes. Shapes move slowly through the dim light. Sandals scrape softly against dusty paths. Low voices drift through the morning air. The smell of baking bread rises from several houses at once. A donkey brays somewhere in the distance. Along the riverbank, fishermen are already preparing their boats. The Nile itself appears calm and endless. Its surface reflects the pale colors of dawn. For generations beyond memory, families have depended upon this river. Every harvest, every loaf of bread, Every meal shared around a small household begins with water carried by the Nile. The farmer walks toward the fields. His path follows a narrow road worn smooth by years of footsteps. Other farmers join him. Together they move through the growing light. No one hurries. The work ahead is important, but the rhythm of the countryside remains steady and patient. As the sun slowly rises above the horizon, the landscape begins to reveal itself. Palm trees stand quietly near clusters of homes. Reeds sway gently beside the river. Birds call from the marshes. The fields stretch outward across the fertile floodplain. Months earlier, the Nile had risen. Its floodwaters spread across the valley, covering fields with nutrient-rich mud. When the waters slowly withdrew, they left behind dark soil unlike anything found in the surrounding desert. Now planting season has arrived. The earth is ready. Farmers examine the ground carefully. Their knowledge has been passed from one generation to the next. Fathers taught sons. Mothers shared lessons with daughters. Grandparents remembered floods from decades earlier. Everyone understands the river's patterns. They know where moisture remains longest. They know which areas receive stronger sunlight. They know how deep seeds should rest beneath the soil. The work begins quietly. Wooden hoes break the surface of the earth. Dark soil turns over in neat rows. The sound is gentle and repetitive. Scrape. Lift. Turn. Again. And again. The rhythm settles naturally into the morning. Nearby, another group guides cattle across prepared fields. The animals move slowly. Their hooves press into the soft ground. Sometimes simple plows are pulled behind them, loosening soil for planting. Dust rises lightly into the morning air before quickly settling again. The temperature remains pleasant for now. The intense heat of midday is still hours away. Workers take advantage of these cooler moments. The fields gradually fill with activity. Yet nothing feels hurried. There is a calm purpose to every movement. Each seed placed into the earth carries hope for the months ahead. Grain will become bread. Flax will become cloth. Vegetables will feed families throughout the year. Every action matters. As the sun climbs higher, golden light spreads across the valley. The Nile glitters beside the fields. Boats drift slowly along its surface. Some carry goods between villages. Others transport workers or supplies. Merchants prepare for journeys that may last several days. Fishermen check their nets. Children fetch water. Life unfolds everywhere at once. And still the planting continues. Farmers bend toward the earth. Hands move carefully. Seeds disappear into prepared rows. A light covering of soil follows. Then another row begins. The work requires patience more than speed. Hours pass. The morning grows warmer. Workers wipe sweat from their foreheads. Their clothing gathers dust. Yet conversation occasionally drifts across the fields. Simple discussions. Family news. Observations about the river. Memories of previous harvests. Nothing urgent. Nothing dramatic. Just ordinary people sharing another day together. By mid-morning, the valley hums quietly with life. In nearby villages, bakers tend clay ovens. The smell of fresh bread drifts through narrow streets. Potters shape wet clay into bowls and jars. Carpenters smooth rough pieces of wood. Scribes sit beneath shaded areas, recording information upon sheets of papyrus. Every occupation depends, in one way or another, upon the harvest being planted today. Without the farmers, much of village life would simply stop. The connection is understood by everyone. Meanwhile, the sun continues its steady climb. Shadows shorten. The air grows heavier. Heat begins rising from the ground itself. Workers know what is coming. Ancient Egypt is a land of powerful sunlight. By midday, the temperature can become exhausting. For now, however, there is still work to complete. The farmer moves methodically through another section of field. Each row stretches ahead before gradually disappearing behind him. The simple repetition becomes almost meditative. Place seed. Cover soil. Step forward. Place seed. Cover soil. Step forward. The Nile flows nearby. Birds circle overhead. A breeze occasionally crosses the valley. These small moments provide relief from the growing warmth. Hours continue passing in this peaceful rhythm. The village behind them remains active. Women grind grain between stone tools. Children carry baskets. Donkeys transport supplies along dusty roads. Market stalls begin welcoming visitors. The entire community moves according to routines shaped over generations. Nothing feels separate from the land. Everything is connected. The river nourishes the soil. The soil supports the crops. The crops feed the people. The people maintain the villages. And tomorrow the cycle will continue once more. As noon approaches, sunlight becomes bright and powerful. The earth radiates heat. Workers slow their pace slightly. The effort of bending, lifting, and carrying becomes more demanding. Sweat darkens clothing. Faces glisten beneath the sun. Yet the planting continues. There is comfort in familiar labor. Many farmers have worked these same fields since childhood. The landscape feels almost like an old friend. Every path, every tree, every bend of the river. Each season brings small changes, but the deeper rhythm remains constant. By now, the village dogs have sought shade. Birdsong becomes less frequent. Even the breeze seems quieter. The hottest hours are approaching. Soon workers will pause to rest beneath whatever shelter they can find. But for a little while longer, the fields remain active. Rows of newly planted crops stretch across the valley. The dark soil appears rich and promising beneath the bright Egyptian sky. And beside it all, the Nile continues flowing as it always has, carrying water through the heart of the ancient world while another peaceful day unfolds along its banks. The sun now stands high above the valley. Its light falls directly upon the fields, the roads, the riverbanks, and the roofs of mud-brick homes. The cool comfort of morning has slowly disappeared. Heat settles across the land like a heavy blanket. The farmers feel it immediately. Their movements become slower. Each step through the field requires a little more effort than before. The soil that felt pleasant beneath the morning sun now seems warm beneath their feet. For many generations, the people of the Nile have understood this part of the day. The river brings life, but the Egyptian sun demands respect. Work continues for a time, though at a gentler pace. Farmers finish the rows they have begun. Baskets are emptied. Tools rise and fall through the soil a few more times. Voices become less frequent. Most energy is saved for the labor itself. A farmer straightens his back and looks across the valley. The bright sunlight makes distant objects shimmer slightly. Palm trees appear almost motionless. The river glows beneath the afternoon sky. Nearby, another worker wipes dust from his forehead and rests both hands upon the handle of a wooden hoe. No one seems eager to hurry. The planting season is important, but exhaustion serves no purpose. Eventually the time for rest arrives. Groups of workers slowly leave the fields. Some walk toward clusters of trees near irrigation channels. Others seek shelter beside storage buildings or simple structures built for shade. A few return briefly to their homes. The paths that were busy at dawn now carry tired footsteps back toward cooler places. The farmer follows a familiar route. His sandals press into soft dust. The air feels still. Even the birds seem quieter than before. When he reaches a shaded area beside several date palms, he joins other workers already resting there. The shade is not perfect, but it is enough. A gentle breeze occasionally slips between the leaves above. Everyone welcomes it. Water jars stand nearby. Clay containers help keep the water cooler than the surrounding air. One by one, workers drink slowly and carefully. The water tastes fresh. It carries with it the life of the Nile. For a few moments, nobody speaks. There is only the sound of distant insects and the faint rustle of palm leaves overhead. The stillness feels comforting. Some workers stretch out upon woven mats. Others sit with their backs against tree trunks. Eyes close. Bodies relax. The morning's labor has earned this pause. Not far away, another scene unfolds along the riverbank. Fishermen have also sought relief from the midday heat. Several small boats rest near the shore. Nets lie folded neatly nearby. The fishermen sit beneath simple shelters made from reeds and wood. They speak quietly among themselves. One repairs a section of netting. Another sharpens a small tool. Their hands continue moving, but without urgency. Across the Nile, more villages rest beneath the same bright sun. The entire valley seems to slow. Animals gather beneath shade wherever they can find it. Donkeys stand quietly beside walls. Goats rest near houses. Even cattle seem grateful for the opportunity to stop moving. Inside the villages, daily life continues, though in a softer way. Within one mudbrick home, a woman kneels beside a grinding stone. She works steadily, turning grain into flour. The task requires patience and strength. Her hands have performed this motion thousands of times. The sound is gentle. Stone against stone. Again and again. Nearby, bread dough waits beneath a cloth. The smell of grain fills the room. Sunlight enters through a small opening, creating a bright patch across the floor. Children sit nearby. Some help with simple chores. Others rest quietly after the morning's activities. The heat encourages calm behavior. There is little desire for running or loud play beneath such a powerful sun. In another part of the village, a baker tends an oven. The clay structure radiates warmth even before fresh bread is placed inside. The baker works carefully. The smell that soon emerges drifts through nearby streets. Warm bread is one of the most familiar scents in the ancient world. It appears nearly every day. For rich and poor alike, bread remains at the center of life. Fields become grain. Grain becomes flour. Flour becomes bread. The cycle is simple, yet essential. Far from the ovens, along a narrow road, a merchant slowly guides a donkey carrying baskets of goods. Travel during the hottest hours is unpleasant, but some journeys cannot wait. The merchant keeps a steady pace. There is no reason to rush. The road stretches across the countryside, connecting villages that depend upon one another. Soon enough he will reach another settlement where supplies can be exchanged. The rhythm of trade, like the rhythm of farming, follows ancient patterns. Back beneath the palms, the farmers continue resting. Conversation slowly returns. A man speaks about the previous year's harvest. Another remembers a flood from long ago. Someone mentions a neighbor whose son recently began working in the fields. The stories are ordinary. That is precisely why they matter. Most lives in ancient Egypt are built from ordinary moments. Few people will ever meet a king. Few will witness great ceremonies. Most will spend their days working, eating, resting, and caring for family. The true heart of the Nile Valley beats within these simple routines. As the afternoon advances, shadows begin to lengthen ever so slightly. The most intense heat slowly starts to loosen its grip. Workers notice the change. Not immediately. At first it is only a faint feeling. A slightly cooler breeze. A little less pressure from the sun. A small return of energy. The farmer rises from his resting place. Others do the same. Some stretch tired muscles. Some finish drinking water. Tools are gathered once more. The day's work is not finished. The fields still wait. Slowly, groups begin returning to their tasks. The walk back feels quieter than the journey at dawn. Bodies are heavier now. The morning's labor and the afternoon heat have taken their toll. Yet there is also satisfaction. Rows planted earlier remain visible across the landscape. Progress has been made. The earth has accepted another portion of seeds. The future harvest has moved one step closer. Back in the field, the farmer resumes his work. The sunlight is softer than before, though still bright. The soil feels different now. Its surface has warmed throughout the day. He kneels carefully. Seeds pass from hand to hand. Each movement remains deliberate. Patience is more valuable than speed. Nearby, irrigation channels carry water through parts of the farmland. The channels are simple but effective. Generations of workers have maintained them. Without these pathways, much of the valley would struggle to support crops. Water glides quietly through narrow passages. Its sound is soothing. A constant reminder of the river's generosity. Several younger workers inspect the channels. Small repairs are made where needed. Mud is adjusted. Blockages are cleared. These tasks may seem minor, yet they help ensure that fields receive the moisture they need. Many aspects of farming depend upon careful attention. The Nile provides opportunity. Human effort turns opportunity into food. Hours pass peacefully. The afternoon slowly drifts toward evening. Birds become more active again. A few appear along the water's edge searching for food. Fishermen return to their boats. Village roads grow busier. The countryside awakens from its midday pause. The farmer glances toward the horizon. The sun has begun its descent. Its light now appears warmer. Golden tones spread across the valley. Palm trees cast longer shadows. The river reflects orange and yellow colors. The landscape seems softer. More forgiving. The hardest part of the day is ending. Workers feel relief. Muscles remain tired, but the cooler air helps. Conversations become more frequent. Occasionally someone laughs quietly. The mood grows lighter. Soon enough, tools will be carried home. Meals will be prepared. Families will gather together. But first there is still time for a little more planting. The farmer continues until the light changes once again. The sky gradually shifts from bright blue to deeper shades of gold. Dust hangs softly in the air. The scent of earth rises from the fields. Somewhere nearby, cattle move slowly toward their evening shelter. Children appear along village paths, carrying small baskets or water jars. The day is winding down. Across the Nile Valley, countless people follow similar routines. Farmers leave their fields. Fishermen secure their boats. Merchants finish their journeys. Craftsmen clean their workspaces. Bakers remove the final loaves from their ovens. The great machinery of everyday life begins settling into evening. The farmer finally lowers his tool. The field before him now contains many freshly planted rows. It is not finished. There will always be more work tomorrow. But enough has been accomplished for one day. He lifts his basket and starts the walk home. The road feels familiar beneath his feet. Dust rises gently with each step. Ahead, the village glows beneath the warm light of sunset. Thin streams of smoke drift upward from cooking fires. Voices carry through the evening air. The smell of bread, grain, and simple meals begins to spread through the settlement. A sense of calm settles over everything. The Nile continues flowing quietly beside the valley. Its waters reflect the fading sky. The river has witnessed countless evenings like this one. Countless farmers returning home. Countless families gathering together after long days of labor. And as another peaceful sunset arrives in ancient Egypt, the valley slowly prepares itself for night. The evening settles gently across the Nile Valley. The heat of the day slowly drifts away, though the warmth remains stored within the earth, the walls of homes, and the stones of village pathways. After so many hours beneath the sun, the softer air feels like a gift. The farmer walks steadily toward his home. The basket resting against his side feels lighter now that the day's work is done. Around him, other workers follow familiar roads back to their families. Dust rises beneath countless sandals, hanging for a moment in the golden light before settling once more. The village ahead appears peaceful. Mudbrick houses glow softly beneath the setting sun. Palm trees stand quietly above rooftops. Small cooking fires send thin streams of smoke into the evening sky. Voices drift through the air. Not loud voices. Only the gentle sounds of ordinary life. Children calling to one another. Neighbors exchanging greetings. Families preparing for the evening meal. As the farmer passes through the village entrance, he notices many of the same scenes he has seen throughout his life. An elderly man sits beside a wall, enjoying the cooler air after a long day indoors. A woman carries a clay jar from a nearby water source. Several children help gather small bundles of reeds. A donkey stands quietly near a doorway, patiently waiting for tomorrow's work. Nothing feels hurried. The entire village seems to exhale after enduring the long afternoon heat. The farmer reaches his home. Its walls are simple but sturdy. Built from sun-dried mud bricks, the structure helps protect the family from both heat and wind. Generations of Egyptians have built homes in this manner. The materials are readily available, and the thick walls provide welcome shelter from the powerful climate. Inside, the room feels cooler than the outside air. The farmer sets down his basket. His shoulders relax. The day's labor has left its mark upon his body. His hands are dusty. His muscles feel heavy. Small aches remind him of hours spent bending, lifting, and walking across the fields. Yet there is satisfaction as well. The seeds are in the ground. The season continues moving forward. Nearby, preparations for supper are already underway. A clay oven still radiates warmth from earlier baking. Fresh bread rests upon woven trays. A simple meal is being assembled using ingredients available to the household. Bread remains at the center of nearly every meal. Alongside it may be onions, beans, lentils, dates, or vegetables gathered from nearby gardens. Sometimes fish from the Nile appears on the table. Occasionally there may be a little beer brewed from grain, providing nourishment as well as refreshment. The smells filling the room are comforting. Warm bread. Cooked grain. Earthy vegetables. These scents have welcomed workers home for generations. The family gathers together. Children settle onto mats. Older relatives find comfortable places to sit. The farmer washes away some of the dust from his hands and face before joining them. The meal begins quietly. Everyone is hungry after the day's activities. The first moments are often spent eating rather than speaking. Bread is broken into pieces. Food is shared. Water is passed around. The atmosphere feels calm and familiar. As hunger fades, conversation gradually appears. The farmer speaks about the progress made in the fields. His wife shares news from the village. A child describes a small adventure near the riverbank. An older family member remembers planting seasons from many years ago. Stories move gently around the room. Nothing dramatic. Nothing urgent. Just the simple exchange of daily experiences. Outside, the sun continues sinking toward the horizon. Its final light stretches across the valley. Long shadows reach between homes. Palm trees darken against the bright sky. The Nile reflects shades of gold, orange, and soft red. For a brief time, the landscape seems almost painted by light. Many villagers step outdoors to enjoy these moments. After enduring the heat of the afternoon, evening feels precious. People linger near doorways. Neighbors pause to speak with one another. Children play quietly along dusty paths. The cooler air encourages everyone to remain outside a little longer. Along the riverbank, fishermen return from their final trips of the day. Their boats glide slowly toward shore. Wooden hulls scrape softly against mud and sand as they come to rest. Nets are gathered. Fish are sorted. Equipment is stored carefully. Tomorrow will bring another day upon the water. For now, the fishermen are content simply to stand beside the river and watch the fading light. The Nile itself appears calm. Its surface moves with steady purpose, just as it has for countless centuries. Even now, as villages settle into evening, the river continues flowing northward through the heart of Egypt. The water does not hurry. It simply moves. Patient. Reliable. Endless. A short distance away, several young boys sit near the bank observing small boats drifting past. They watch merchants transporting goods between settlements. They watch fishermen returning home. They watch birds crossing the sky on their way toward nesting places among the reeds. The boys speak quietly among themselves. One day many of them will become farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, or laborers. For now they are simply enjoying the evening. Back in the village, workshops begin closing for the night. A carpenter places tools inside a storage chest. A potter examines newly shaped vessels before leaving them to dry. A weaver rolls up unfinished cloth. Throughout the day these spaces were filled with activity. Now silence slowly takes their place. The working day is ending. Even the animals sense the change. Goats settle near shelters. Donkeys lower their heads and rest. Cattle gather together in protected areas. The sounds of movement become less frequent. A feeling of stillness spreads gradually through the settlement. Meanwhile, the sky continues changing above the valley. Orange fades into deeper shades of pink and purple. The first stars begin appearing overhead. One by one they emerge from the growing darkness. People notice them. Many pause briefly to look upward. The night sky of ancient Egypt is breathtakingly clear. Without bright city lights, the stars appear countless and brilliant. Entire generations have looked toward these same constellations. Farmers, sailors, scribes, priests, builders, and children have all stood beneath this vast ceiling of light. The stars feel familiar, permanent, a comforting presence above the ever-changing world below. As darkness deepens, small oil lamps begin appearing throughout the village. Their flames flicker softly behind doorways and windows. The light they provide is modest, yet enough for evening activities. Within homes, families continue talking quietly. Some repair clothing. Some prepare tools for the next day. Others simply rest. The farmer sits near the entrance of his home. The air feels pleasant against his skin. For the first time all day, his body is completely still. He listens. The village sounds different at night. During daylight hours there is constant activity. Voices. Animals. Tools. Work. Now everything becomes softer. A distant conversation. A dog barking far away. The faint sound of water moving through irrigation channels. The occasional rustle of wind through palm leaves. The quietness is welcome. The farmer's muscles remain tired. His hands bear signs of long labor. Yet this weariness feels natural. It is the kind of exhaustion earned through honest work. The fields have received their seeds. The crops have begun their journey. There is nothing more to do tonight. Soon sleep will arrive. Across the village, many others experience the same feeling. Farmers stretch sore backs. Fishermen rub tired hands. Craftsmen relax aching shoulders. Women who spent hours grinding grain or baking bread finally sit down to rest. The entire community slowly settles into evening comfort. Hours pass gently. The sky grows darker. More stars appear overhead. The moon rises above the horizon, casting silver light across rooftops and riverbanks. Its reflection shimmers upon the Nile. The sight is beautiful in its simplicity. A fisherman standing beside his boat pauses to admire it. A child gazes upward before being called indoors. A guard watching over storage buildings quietly observes the river. The moon belongs to everyone. Its light touches fields, villages, boats, roads, and distant desert alike. The farmer eventually rises and steps inside. The household is preparing for sleep. Mats are arranged upon the floor. Water jars are covered. The final lamp burns quietly. Children have already begun drifting toward sleep. Their long day of helping, learning, and exploring has left them tired. Adults speak softly to avoid disturbing them. The atmosphere inside the home feels peaceful, comforting, safe. Outside, the village continues growing quieter. One home after another extinguishes its lamp. Darkness settles between buildings. The sounds of conversation fade. The roads become empty. Only a few people remain awake. Some keep watch. Others finish small tasks before resting. Most, however, have already surrendered to sleep. The farmer lies down upon his mat. His body welcomes the chance to rest. Tomorrow will begin before sunrise once again. The fields will still be waiting. The Nile will still be flowing. The planting season will continue. But those concerns belong to another day. Tonight there is only the cool darkness. The steady breathing of family members nearby. The faint scent of baked bread lingering in the room. The distant sound of water moving through the valley. Beyond the walls of the house, the Nile glides beneath moonlight. Its waters pass silently beside fields that now hold freshly planted seeds. Beneath the soil, those seeds rest quietly. They wait for moisture. They wait for sunlight. They wait for time itself to do its work. And above them, beneath a sky filled with ancient stars, the people of the Nile sleep peacefully, gathering strength for another slow and gentle day beside the river. Deep into the night, the Nile Valley rests beneath a blanket of silence. The moon has climbed higher into the sky. Its pale light washes softly across the fields, the riverbanks, and the sleeping villages scattered along the fertile land. Most homes are dark now. The lamps have burned low. Doors remain closed against the cooler night air. Only a few faint sounds remain awake. Somewhere near the edge of the village, a dog shifts in its sleep. A breeze moves through the leaves of a palm tree. Far away, water laps gently against the side of a small boat tied along the riverbank. The sounds are so quiet that they seem to belong naturally to the darkness itself. Inside the farmer's home, everyone sleeps. The room is still. The long day of planting has left the household deeply tired. Muscles that worked beneath the hot sun now rest completely. Hands that carried baskets and tools lie motionless beside woven mats. The farmer breathes slowly. His dreams drift through familiar landscapes. Fields. Water. Palm trees. The endless rhythm of the Nile. Outside, the night continues its patient journey. The stars wheel slowly overhead. Many of these stars are known well by the people of ancient Egypt. Generations have watched them move across the heavens. Farmers have used them to mark the seasons. Sailors have used them to guide boats along the river. Even now, while the valley sleeps, the stars continue their ancient paths. Hours pass. The air grows slightly cooler. Moisture gathers lightly upon reeds near the riverbank. A thin layer of dew begins forming on some plants. The desert beyond the fertile valley remains dark and silent. Its rocky hills and sandy stretches seem almost invisible beneath the moonlight. Yet life remains concentrated here beside the river. The Nile is the heart of everything. Without it, there would be little farming. Without farming, there would be little bread. Without bread, there would be few villages. Every sleeping household depends upon the river flowing quietly through the darkness. Along one stretch of shoreline, a fisherman remains awake. His boat is secured to a wooden post driven into the mud. He sits beneath a simple shelter of reeds and watches the moonlit water. Tomorrow he will rise before dawn and cast his nets once again. Tonight he enjoys a few moments of solitude. The river glimmers before him. Small ripples catch the moonlight. The current moves steadily northward. The fisherman listens. Water has its own voice. Soft. Constant. Comforting. After a while, he stands, checks his equipment one final time, and heads home through the sleeping village. Soon even he disappears behind a doorway. Silence returns. The night slowly deepens. Then, almost without notice, the darkness begins to change. Far to the east, beyond the horizon, the first hint of another day begins its journey toward the valley. At first the change is invisible. Then the stars nearest the horizon grow slightly fainter. The moon loses some of its brightness. The world remains quiet, but something is shifting. Morning is approaching. Inside the farmer's home, the air feels cooler than it did the previous evening. A faint breeze enters through a small opening in the wall. The household continues sleeping. For now. The earliest birds are beginning to stir. Tiny sounds emerge from the reeds along the river. A few insects fade into silence as the night gradually withdraws. The sky brightens by the smallest amount. A pale gray line appears at the edge of the world. Another day beside the Nile is preparing to begin. The farmer wakes before sunrise. His eyes open slowly. For a moment he remains still, listening. The room is dark but no longer completely black. The familiar sounds of early morning have not yet fully arrived. This quiet period between night and day is one of the calmest times in the valley. The farmer sits upright. His muscles feel stiff from yesterday's labor. His shoulders carry the memory of carrying baskets. His hands remain rough from working the soil. Yet this feeling is expected. Almost everyone who works the land wakes with similar aches. It is simply part of life. Nearby, other family members begin stirring. Someone adjusts a blanket. A child turns over in sleep. An older relative quietly rises to begin preparing for the day. The household awakens gradually. Nobody rushes. Outside, a rooster calls. Another answers from farther away. The village slowly begins to return to life. The farmer steps outside. The cool morning air touches his face. He pauses for a moment. This is his favorite part of the day. Before the heat arrives. Before the roads become busy. Before the fields fill with workers. The world feels peaceful. The Nile lies beneath a layer of soft mist. The river seems almost dreamlike in the fading darkness. Palm trees appear as dark shapes against the brightening sky. A few early boats are already moving through the water. Their silhouettes glide silently across the surface. The farmer takes a deep breath. The smell of damp earth rises from the nearby fields. The scent is rich and familiar. Planting season always brings this smell. Moist soil. Fresh water. New growth waiting beneath the ground. Soon the village begins fully waking. Doors open. Voices appear. Cooking fires are lit. Thin streams of smoke climb into the morning sky. The smell of baking bread returns once again. It is one of the first signs of a new day. Women prepare meals. Children rub sleep from their eyes. Donkeys shift and stretch after a night of rest. The entire settlement slowly emerges from darkness. The farmer joins his family for a simple meal. Bread remains the center of breakfast. Fresh water is poured from clay jars. The meal is quiet. Everyone understands that another day of work lies ahead. Soon the tools are gathered once again. Wooden hoes. Baskets. Simple equipment worn smooth through years of use. The farmer lifts his familiar tools and steps outside. The eastern sky now glows with soft shades of gold. Sunrise is near. Other workers are already walking toward the fields. Some travel alone. Others move in small groups. Their sandals leave faint tracks in the dust. No one seems hurried. The day is long. There is time. The farmer joins the slow procession. Together they leave the village behind. Ahead, the fertile floodplain stretches outward beneath the growing light. Freshly planted rows from previous days remain visible across portions of the landscape. The sight brings quiet satisfaction. Each completed section represents effort, patience, hope. Months will pass before harvest arrives, but the work has already begun. As the workers approach the fields, the first edge of the sun appears above the horizon. Golden light spreads across the valley. The Nile catches the sunlight and shines brightly. Birds rise from the reeds. The cool air begins warming. A new day has officially arrived. The farmers take their places. Some inspect the seeds planted earlier. Others prepare additional sections of soil. The farmer walks toward the area where he worked yesterday. The earth looks unchanged on the surface. Yet beneath the soil, countless seeds now rest quietly, waiting. Every harvest begins this way. Not with noise. Not with celebration. but with small hidden beginnings beneath dark earth. The farmer kneels and picks up a handful of soil. It crumbles gently between his fingers. The moisture feels right. The ground remains fertile from the river's gifts. Nearby, irrigation channels carry water through parts of the farmland. Workers examine them carefully. These channels require constant attention. A small blockage can reduce the flow of water. A damaged bank can waste precious moisture. Several laborers begin repairs. Mud is packed into weak areas. Reeds are cleared away. Water resumes its steady movement. The work is repetitive. Yet it matters deeply. Throughout ancient Egypt, countless hours are spent maintaining these systems. The Nile provides opportunity, but human hands guide much of the water where it is needed most. As sunlight spreads across the fields, the morning labor begins. Wooden tools move through the soil. Seeds are distributed. Rows are extended farther across the landscape. The sounds are familiar. The scrape of tools. The soft footsteps of workers. The occasional call between neighboring farmers. Nothing breaks the peaceful rhythm. Hours pass gently. The sun climbs higher. The valley grows brighter. Boats travel along the river. Fishermen cast nets. Merchants begin their journeys. Children help carry water. The same great cycle that unfolded yesterday begins again. And through it all, the planting continues. Patient. Steady. Unhurried. The farmer moves from row to row. His shadow shortens as the morning advances. Sweat begins forming upon his brow. The warmth slowly returns. Yet there is comfort in routine. Every season follows patterns that have guided families for generations. The river rises. The waters retreat. Seeds enter the soil. Crops grow. Harvest arrives. Then the cycle begins once more. Standing in the field, surrounded by workers carrying out tasks known by their ancestors and their ancestors before them, the farmer feels connected to something larger than himself. Not kings. Not monuments. Not distant rulers. But the land. The water. The seasons. The simple work that allows families to eat and villages to survive. The Nile glitters beside him beneath the morning sun. The breeze carries the scent of wet earth. Birds circle above the fertile valley. And another peaceful day of planting slowly unfolds along the banks of the ancient river. The morning settles into its familiar rhythm. The sun continues its slow climb above the eastern horizon, and the cool freshness of dawn gradually gives way to warmth. Across the valley, the fields fill with movement. Workers bend toward the earth. Wooden tools rise and fall. Sandals press gently into dark soil left fertile by the Nile. The farmer continues along his row. His hands move with quiet confidence. Years of experience guide every motion. He rarely needs to stop and think about what comes next. The work lives inside him now, as natural as breathing. Place the seed. Cover it carefully. Step forward. Begin again. The pattern repeats over and over. The repetition might seem simple, yet within that simplicity there is a kind of peace. Around him, other farmers work in much the same way. Some are young and still learning. Others have gray hair and weathered faces shaped by decades beneath the Egyptian sun. Their lives have been measured by seasons rather than years. They remember floods. They remember droughts. They remember harvests that filled storage rooms and seasons when families had to stretch supplies carefully until the next crop arrived. Each memory has taught them something about the land. The Nile Valley rewards patience. It rewards attention. It rewards those who understand its rhythms. A gentle breeze drifts across the fields. For a moment, the workers pause to enjoy it. The movement of air carries the scent of water from the river. It also carries the smell of damp earth warming beneath the growing sunlight. The scent feels rich and comforting. Nearby, several cattle move slowly through a prepared field. Their handlers guide them with calm voices. The animals pull simple wooden plows that help loosen the soil. The work requires strength, but the cattle move steadily. Dust rises around their hooves before settling again. The sound of the plow scraping through the earth blends with countless other small sounds of the countryside. Nothing is loud. Nothing is rushed. Everything unfolds at its own pace. Not far away, a group of younger workers repairs a section of irrigation channel. The channel curves through the farmland like a narrow stream. Water moves gently through it, reflecting sunlight as it passes. One worker kneels beside the bank and presses fresh mud into a weak section. Another removes reeds that have begun blocking the flow. The task may not seem important to an outsider, but every farmer understands its value. Water must reach the crops. Without careful maintenance, entire sections of farmland can suffer. These channels are watched constantly. Every season brings new repairs. Every season requires attention. The Nile gives generously, but people must still work alongside it. As the morning continues, activity spreads throughout the valley. Along a nearby road, merchants travel between villages. Their donkeys carry baskets filled with goods. Some transport pottery. Others carry woven cloth, dried fish, or grain. The roads themselves are simple, worn by generations of feet and hooves. Dust lies thick upon their surfaces. Yet these roads connect countless communities. Every village depends upon its neighbors in one way or another. A merchant passing through the countryside may stop briefly beside a field. He exchanges a greeting with the farmers. A few words about the weather. A few observations about the river. Then he continues on his journey. Life along the Nile often moves in this way. People meet. They share small conversations. Then each returns to familiar responsibilities. As the sun climbs higher, the village behind the fields grows busier. Smoke rises from ovens. The smell of bread drifts across the valley. Potters begin shaping clay. Weavers settle before their looms. Carpenters organize tools. Every occupation contributes something to the larger community. The farmer rarely visits the workshops during planting season, but he understands their importance. His grain may one day be stored in jars made by potters. His clothing may come from weavers working patiently beside spinning tools. His farming equipment may be repaired by craftsmen whose hands know wood as well as he knows soil. Everyone depends upon everyone else. The Nile Valley is like a woven cloth. Many threads. One fabric. The farmer pauses and straightens his back. He looks across the fields. The morning light is bright now. Rows of planted soil stretch toward the river. Workers appear throughout the landscape. Some are little more than distant figures against the vast plain. Others work nearby, their movements easy to see. Together they create a quiet picture of everyday life. No monuments are being built here. No ceremonies are taking place. Yet these ordinary moments sustain the entire kingdom. Without food, nothing else could exist. Without farmers, the villages would fade. Without the Nile, the fields would return to desert. The connections are simple. The connections are constant. A flock of birds suddenly rises from the reeds near the riverbank. Their wings catch the sunlight. For a few moments they circle above the water before disappearing farther downstream. Several workers glance up briefly. Then their attention returns to the soil. The work continues. Hours pass. The warmth increases steadily. Sweat gathers upon foreheads. Shadows shorten. The sunlight becomes stronger. Workers begin drinking more water. Clay jars are passed between groups. The cool water brings welcome relief. Many farmers carry memories of seasons when the heat felt especially intense. They know the signs of exhaustion. They know when to slow down. They know the value of rest. For now, however, the temperature remains manageable. The morning still offers productive hours. Near one edge of the field, an older farmer kneels beside a younger relative. Patiently, he demonstrates how seeds should be placed. Not too deep. Not too shallow. The lesson is simple, yet important. Knowledge passes from one generation to the next in countless small moments like this. There are no large classrooms. No written manuals carried into the fields. Most learning happens through observation. Through repetition. Through years spent working beside experienced hands. The younger worker watches carefully. One day these lessons will become his own habits. One day he will teach another child. The cycle continues just as surely as the seasons. Farther away, near the river, fishermen prepare their nets. The morning catch may provide food for several families. Small boats drift quietly across the water. The fishermen know the river as intimately as farmers know the fields. They understand its currents, its hidden channels, its moods. Some have spent nearly every day of their lives upon the Nile. The river has become part of them, just as the fields have become part of the farmers. The sun climbs higher. The bright blue sky seems endless overhead. Palm trees stand motionless in the growing heat. The air becomes heavier. Birdsong grows less frequent. The signs are familiar. Midday approaches. Workers begin noticing it without needing to look at the sky. Their bodies tell them. Movements require slightly more effort. The warmth presses more firmly against their skin. The soil itself feels hotter beneath their hands. The farmer wipes his forehead and pauses for a moment. He drinks from a water jar. The cool water tastes refreshing. Nearby, another worker sits briefly beneath a small patch of shade created by stacked baskets. No one considers this laziness. The land teaches practical wisdom. A tired worker accomplishes little. A rested worker can continue through the season. Patience matters. Endurance matters. As the final part of the morning unfolds, the valley seems to shimmer beneath the sunlight. The Nile glows brightly. The irrigation channels sparkle. The dark soil contrasts sharply against the pale desert visible in the distance. The difference between the fertile valley and the surrounding landscape is remarkable. Life gathers here because water gathers here. The river creates possibility. The people transform possibility into survival. The farmer returns to his row. A few more seeds. A few more careful steps. A little more progress before the midday rest. The rhythm remains steady. Place the seed. Cover it. Move forward. The same motion performed thousands of times. The same motion performed by countless generations before him. The same motion that will continue long after his own lifetime has passed. Around him, the Nile Valley hums quietly with life. Workers labor. Boats drift. Birds circle. Children learn. Bread bakes. Water flows. And beneath the warm Egyptian sun, another peaceful morning of planting slowly moves toward noon. As the morning gradually approaches its end, the sunlight becomes stronger across the Nile Valley. The soft golden colors of dawn have long disappeared. Now the land shines beneath a bright and powerful sky. The river reflects the light in countless small flashes. The dark soil of the fields absorbs warmth with every passing hour. The farmers continue their work. Their pace remains steady, though slightly slower than before. Nobody rushes. The season is long. The fields are large. The work must be done carefully. The farmer bends toward another row. His shadow, once long and stretched across the earth at sunrise, now rests close beside him. Tiny beads of sweat gather along his forehead. Dust clings lightly to his sandals. Still, he continues. The movement feels familiar. Comforting, even. Many days of his life have followed this pattern. The body learns what the mind no longer needs to think about. Hands move. Seeds fall. Soil covers them. The row slowly grows behind him. Above, the sky remains cloudless. In ancient Egypt, rain is uncommon. The people of the Nile do not look toward clouds for their harvest. They look toward the river. Everything begins there. The farmer glances toward the flowing water. Even from this distance, the Nile seems alive. Boats move steadily along its surface. Some travel north. Others drift south with the aid of sails catching gentle breezes. The river is a road, a source of food, and a source of life all at once. Without it, the valley would be silent desert. With it, villages flourish. Fields stretch outward. Families grow. The entire landscape depends upon its presence. Near one irrigation channel, a pair of workers pause to inspect the water level. The channel carries a steady flow through the farmland. Its banks have been shaped and reshaped many times over the years. Mud walls guide the water where it is needed. Simple gates help control movement. The system may appear humble, but it represents generations of knowledge. Every family understands its importance. One worker kneels and dips his hand into the water. The coolness feels pleasant beneath the rising heat. For a brief moment he allows his fingers to remain submerged. Then he stands and returns to his task. Nearby, several younger children help carry small baskets. Their work is lighter than that of the adults, but they are proud to contribute. One boy carefully follows his father across a field. Another helps gather tools. A young girl carries water between workers resting briefly beneath a palm. The children learn through participation. Every season teaches them something new. Every year they become a little stronger. A little more capable. A little more familiar with the rhythms that shape life beside the Nile. As noon approaches, the sounds of the countryside begin changing. Birds retreat toward shaded areas. Animals move more slowly. The breeze weakens. Even conversation becomes less frequent. The heat encourages silence. The farmer notices it as well. His movements grow more deliberate. Each action requires a little more energy than it did earlier. The soil feels warmer beneath his hands. The sunlight presses gently but persistently upon his shoulders. This is the hour when experience matters. Young workers sometimes try to push too hard. Older farmers understand the value of conserving strength. Planting is not a race. The season cannot be hurried. The earth responds to patience. The river responds to patience. Life itself often responds to patience. A distant call drifts across the fields. Another group of workers has decided to pause for water. Several farmers straighten their backs and stretch tired muscles. The farmer joins them. Together they gather beneath the limited shade offered by a cluster of date palms. The shade is thin. The sunlight still filters through the leaves. Yet the difference feels wonderful. A clay water jar rests nearby. The surface of the jar feels cool to the touch. One by one, workers drink. The water tastes clean and refreshing. For a few moments, everyone simply enjoys being still. The palms rustle softly overhead. The Nile glimmers in the distance. The quiet feels peaceful. One older farmer begins telling a story. His voice is calm and unhurried. He remembers a flood season from many years earlier, when the river rose especially high. The younger workers listen respectfully. Stories are treasured in the Nile Valley. Not because they are dramatic, but because they carry memories, knowledge, experience. The story unfolds slowly. No one interrupts. The afternoon can wait a few more minutes. Eventually, the group rises and returns to work. The fields await. The planting continues. Across the countryside, similar scenes unfold everywhere. Farmers labor beneath the sun. Fishermen guide boats through the water. Merchants travel dusty roads. Potters shape clay vessels. Weavers work threads into cloth. Each person contributes something to the life of the valley. Each person follows routines repeated countless times before. Near the edge of one village, a baker removes fresh loaves from a clay oven. Warm air escapes as the bread emerges. The scent drifts through nearby streets. People passing by immediately recognize it. Bread is more than food. It is comfort, routine, stability. Its smell belongs to nearly every day of life. In another home, grain is being ground into flour. The steady sound of stone against stone echoes softly through the room. The task requires patience and strength. Hour after hour, the work continues. Many activities in ancient Egypt depend upon repetition. Farming, fishing, grinding grain, weaving cloth, building walls. Life moves forward through countless small actions performed again and again. The farmer understands this well. His own work is built entirely upon repetition. Yet he rarely finds it boring. Each season feels slightly different. Each flood leaves its own mark. Each field has its own character. The land changes slowly, but it changes nonetheless. As the sun approaches its highest point, a shimmering haze appears above parts of the valley. Heat rises from the earth. The air itself seems to tremble. Workers begin preparing for the midday rest. They finish rows already started. Tools are gathered. Baskets are moved toward shaded areas. Nobody waits until exhaustion arrives. Experience has taught them better. The hottest part of the day belongs to rest. The farmer plants a final handful of seeds before standing upright. He looks across the field. The progress is easy to see now. Fresh rows stretch across the dark soil. The work of many hands has transformed the landscape. There is still much to do. There is always more to do. Yet today has moved the season forward. That is enough. Nearby, cattle are guided away from the open sun. The animals move willingly. They too seem ready for relief from the heat. Their hooves leave deep impressions in the soft earth. Dust rises briefly behind them, then settles. Everything feels slower now. The valley itself seems to relax. One by one, workers leave the fields. The farmer follows a familiar path toward a shaded grove near an irrigation channel. The route has been walked so many times that he could almost follow it with his eyes closed. His sandals brush against dry earth. Palm trees sway gently ahead. The promise of shade feels inviting. When he arrives, several workers are already resting. Some sit quietly. Others lie upon woven mats. A few continue talking in low voices. The atmosphere is peaceful. No one feels the need to fill every moment with conversation. The silence itself is pleasant. The farmer settles beneath a tree. Cool shade covers part of the ground. A light breeze drifts through the leaves overhead. He closes his eyes briefly. The sounds around him become softer. Water moving through the nearby channel. Palm leaves rustling. A distant bird calling once before falling silent again. The valley enters its midday pause. Across villages and fields, people seek shelter from the strongest heat. Workshops slow. Roads grow quieter. Animals rest. Even the river seems calmer beneath the bright sky. The farmer leans back against the rough trunk of the tree. His muscles loosen. His breathing slows. For now, there is nothing urgent. The seeds have been planted. The tools are resting. The sun stands high above the Nile. And beneath the protective shade of the palms, another peaceful midday settles gently across the ancient valley. The midday hours drift slowly across the Nile Valley. The sun hangs high above the land, pouring light over fields, villages, and riverbanks. Beneath its brightness, much of the countryside has become still. The busiest work of the morning has paused. Farmers rest beneath trees. Fishermen seek shelter near the water. Craftsmen retreat into shaded workshops where the heat is easier to endure. The farmer remains beneath the palms. The rough bark of the tree presses gently against his back. A woven mat covers the ground beneath him. Nearby, an irrigation channel carries water through the farmland with a soft and steady sound. The water seems almost sleepy. It moves without hurry. A few leaves float along its surface before disappearing around a bend. The farmer watches them for a moment. Then he closes his eyes. Not to sleep completely. Only to rest. Around him, several other workers do the same. One man stretches out beneath the shade and soon begins breathing deeply. Another sits quietly, staring toward the distant river. A younger worker carefully repairs a sandal strap while enjoying the cooler air beneath the trees. Nobody feels pressure to speak. The silence itself feels valuable. The morning has demanded energy. The afternoon will demand more. For now, rest is enough. Beyond the grove, the fields shimmer beneath the sunlight. Freshly planted rows stretch across the dark soil. Beneath the surface, thousands of seeds wait patiently. They ask for nothing except time. Time for roots to form. Time for shoots to emerge. Time for the river and the sun to do their work. The farmer understands this well. Much of farming is waiting. Planting requires labor. Harvest requires labor. But between those moments comes patience. The land follows its own schedule. No amount of rushing can change that. A gentle breeze moves through the palm leaves overhead. The sound resembles a quiet whisper. Workers lift their faces toward it. Even the smallest breeze feels precious during the hottest hours of the day. Nearby, a clay water jar sits partly buried in the ground to help keep it cool. Its surface feels damp. A worker pours himself a drink. The water carries a faint taste of clay from the jar. No one minds. The coolness is what matters. The farmer takes a slow drink as well. The water refreshes him immediately. For a few moments, he simply listens. The irrigation channel. The wind. The distant river. Together they create a peaceful rhythm. Farther away, in the village, life continues at a gentler pace. Inside one mudbrick home, a woman sits beside a grinding stone. Her hands move steadily. Back and forth. Back and forth. The grain slowly becomes flour. The work requires endurance. Hour after hour, the motion repeats. Yet she performs it calmly. The task has become part of daily life. Near her, fresh dough rests beneath a cloth. Later it will become bread. The smell of grain fills the room. Outside, children remain close to shaded areas. The afternoon heat discourages long adventures beneath the sun. Instead, they sit near walls, help with small chores, or listen to stories told by older relatives. One elderly grandfather sits beneath a simple shelter made from reeds. Several children gather nearby. His voice is soft. His stories move slowly. He speaks of seasons long ago. Floods that covered the fields. Boats that traveled from distant places. Harvests that filled entire storage rooms with grain. The children listen carefully. These stories connect them to the past. Just as the river connects every village along its banks. Along another road, a merchant has paused his journey beneath a cluster of trees. His donkey stands nearby, chewing lazily. The merchant removes a cloth from his head and enjoys the shade. Travel can wait. The road will still be there later. The heat encourages patience in everyone. Even movement itself seems slower. Back near the river, fishermen sit beside their boats. The wooden vessels rest quietly against the shoreline. Nets lie folded nearby. One fisherman carefully repairs a small tier. His fingers work methodically through the fibers. The task requires attention but little effort. It is the perfect activity for a warm afternoon. The fisherman glances toward the water. Sunlight dances across the surface. Small ripples drift outward from unseen fish below. The Nile appears calm. Yet beneath that calm surface, life moves constantly. Fish swim through deeper channels. Plants sway gently in the current. Birds search for food among the reeds. The river never truly rests. Its movement continues day and night. Season after season. Century after century. The farmer has often thought about this. There is comfort in knowing the Nile will still be flowing tomorrow. And next year. And long after he is gone. The river feels permanent. A steady companion to every generation. The afternoon passes slowly. The shadows beneath the palms shift almost unnoticed. The sun begins moving westward. Its position changes little by little. Most workers do not notice at first. Then gradually they sense the difference. The heat remains strong, but something has softened. The air feels slightly less heavy. The light has changed. The harsh brightness of noon begins giving way to warmer tones. The farmer opens his eyes. He studies the fields beyond the grove. Soon it will be time to return. Not yet. But soon. The rest has helped. His muscles feel less strained. His breathing feels steady again. The pause has restored some of the energy lost during the morning. Around him, other workers begin stirring as well. One man sits upright and stretches. Another finishes drinking water. A few stand and walk briefly near the channel. The valley itself seems to be waking from its midday pause. Birds become more active again. A few calls drift across the fields. Goats emerge from shaded corners of the village. Donkeys shake dust from their coats. Movement gradually returns. The farmer rises and walks toward the irrigation channel. He kneels beside the water. The reflection staring back at him appears slightly distorted by the current. He washes dust from his hands. The cool water feels pleasant. For a moment, he simply watches it flow. The channel carries water from the Nile into the fields. A simple path. Yet an essential one. Without these channels, planting would become far more difficult. Generations of workers have dug them, maintained them, expanded them. Every season leaves its mark. Every season requires repairs. The work never truly ends. And yet, neither does the harvest. The effort continues because life continues. As the afternoon advances, workers slowly gather their tools once more. The farmer lifts his wooden hoe. The familiar weight settles comfortably into his hands. Nearby, another worker shoulders a basket. Several others begin walking toward the fields. No one speaks much. The transition feels natural. The rest period has ended. The next portion of the day is beginning. Together they move through the grove. Palm shadows stretch across the ground. The sunlight now feels warmer and more golden than before. The fields await them. Fresh rows of dark soil lie ready. The planted sections remain undisturbed. Everything appears peaceful. The farmer steps back into the field and looks across the landscape. The Nile glitters in the distance. Boats drift lazily upon its surface. Birds circle above the reeds. The village rests behind him. Ahead lies another afternoon of patient work. Not hurried. Not exhausting. Simply steady. The kind of labor that has shaped countless lives along the river. The farmer takes his place beside the next row. He kneels. The soil crumbles gently beneath his fingers. A handful of seeds waits inside a basket. The afternoon breeze brushes lightly across the valley. The sun begins its slow journey toward evening. And once again, the quiet work of planting resumes beside the timeless waters of the Nile. The afternoon unfolds gently across the valley. The harshest heat of the day has begun to fade, though warmth still lingers above the fields. The sunlight now carries a softer quality. Golden tones slowly replace the bright white glare of noon. The farmer settles back into his work. The rest beneath the palms has restored some of his strength. His muscles still feel tired, but no longer heavy. The cool water and quiet shade have given him what he needed. Around him, other workers have returned as well. The fields once again fill with steady movement. Wooden tools scrape softly through the soil. Baskets shift from place to place. Feet leave fresh marks upon the dark earth. The sounds blend together into a calm rhythm. Nothing feels rushed. There is no need. The day still holds several hours of useful light. The farmer kneels beside another prepared section of land. The soil is rich and dark compared to the pale desert beyond the valley. Every handful reminds him of the Nile's yearly gift. Months ago, floodwaters covered these same fields. Now the water has retreated, leaving behind fertile mud that makes planting possible. The cycle is ancient. The river rises. The river withdraws. Seeds enter the earth. Plants emerge. Harvest arrives. Then the pattern begins again. Generation after generation has trusted this rhythm. The farmer trusts it too. Nearby, a group of younger laborers works together along a newly prepared field. They speak quietly as they work. Occasionally laughter drifts across the landscape. The sound is brief and gentle. Soon their attention returns to the task before them. One of the older farmers watches them for a moment. Their energy reminds him of his own youth. Many years ago he stood in the same fields learning from experienced hands. Now he offers guidance when needed. This is how knowledge survives. Not through grand speeches. Not through books carried into the fields. But through observation. Patience. Practice. One season teaching the next. The afternoon breeze strengthens slightly. Palm leaves sway near the irrigation channels. The movement creates shifting patterns of light and shadow across the ground. The farmer welcomes the breeze. Its cool touch eases the warmth upon his skin. A few birds glide overhead. Their shadows pass briefly across the fields before disappearing. Life continues everywhere throughout the valley. Along the riverbank, fishermen prepare for the evening hours. Several boats push away from shore. The water reflects the afternoon sunlight in long shimmering bands. Wood creaks softly. Oars dip into the current. The fishermen know that different times of day bring different opportunities. Like the farmers, they work alongside natural rhythms rather than against them. Farther downstream, merchants continue traveling between villages. The roads are busier now than they were during midday. The cooler air encourages movement. Donkeys carry baskets filled with grain, pottery, cloth, and other goods. Dust rises beneath their hooves. The merchants move steadily, following routes used for countless years. Each journey helps connect communities scattered along the Nile. The farmer glances toward one of these roads. A small group passes in the distance. Soon they disappear behind a stand of palms. The fields reclaim his attention. He presses another seed into the soil. Then another. And another. The work feels endless at times. Yet he does not mind. There is comfort in repetition. Each completed row becomes visible proof of progress. The land slowly changes beneath many patient hands. Hours drift by almost unnoticed. The sun continues descending toward the western horizon. Shadows lengthen gradually across the fields. Workers become more talkative as the temperature eases. Conversations rise and fade. Stories are exchanged. News travels between neighboring farms. Someone mentions a recent birth in the village. Another speaks about repairs being made to a storage building. The topics are ordinary. That is what makes them meaningful. Most lives along the Nile are built from ordinary things. Family. Work. Food. Weather. Rest. The farmer finds comfort in these conversations. They remind him that no one works alone. The entire community shares the same challenges and the same hopes. Everyone depends upon the harvest. Everyone watches the river. Everyone waits for the growing season to unfold. Near an irrigation channel, several children arrive carrying water jars. The adults welcome them warmly. The jars are carefully passed around. Cool water flows into waiting hands and cups. The children seem proud of their contribution. Though young, they already understand that every task matters. Even the smallest effort helps the community. One boy sits briefly beneath a tree while the adults drink. He watches the farmers work. His eyes follow the steady movements. Perhaps one day he will stand in the same field performing the same tasks. Perhaps he will teach his own children in turn. The thought would not seem unusual to anyone here. Life often follows familiar paths. The seasons change, but many routines remain. The afternoon light grows richer. The sky begins shifting towards softer colors. Golden sunlight spills across the landscape. The Nile gleams like polished metal. Palm trees cast long shadows toward the east. The entire valley appears calmer, even more peaceful than before. The farmer pauses and straightens his back. He studies the field around him. The planted rows now stretch farther than they did this morning. The sight brings quiet satisfaction. The work is demanding, yet the results are visible. Each row represents future bread, future meals, future security for the village. Few things feel more important. A flock of birds settles near the river. Their calls drift faintly through the air. The sound blends with distant voices and the gentle movement of water through the irrigation channels. The countryside feels alive, but never noisy. Its energy remains soft, measured, steady. As the afternoon moves closer to evening, the air becomes increasingly pleasant. Workers notice it immediately. Shoulders relax. Steps feel lighter. The hardest hours of the day are behind them. Several farmers begin gathering tools from sections already completed. Others finish the rows they have started. No one is preparing to leave just yet, but thoughts of evening have begun to appear. Home, food, family, rest. These things wait beyond the fields. The farmer continues planting. He knows there is still time before sunset. The light remains good. The soil remains workable. A few more rows can be completed before the day ends. The pace remains unhurried. Each movement is careful. Each seed receives attention. The future depends upon such small acts. Nearby, cattle graze quietly beside a channel. They seem content in the cooler air. One flicks its tail lazily. Another lowers its head toward a patch of grass. The peaceful scene feels timeless. Much the same as it would have appeared decades earlier. Much the same as it may appear decades later. The Nile Valley changes slowly. Its rhythms are measured not in days, but in generations. The farmer appreciates this without fully thinking about it. The land teaches patience simply by existing. The river teaches patience through its steady flow. The crops teach patience through their slow growth. Everything important requires time. The sun descends lower. Its light now paints the fields in shades of gold and amber. Dust floating through the air glows softly. The village beyond the fields begins preparing for evening. Thin streams of smoke rise from cooking fires. The smell of bread starts drifting across the countryside once again. The scent reaches the workers from time to time. It reminds them that the day is nearing its close. A few farmers smile. Others simply continue working. The farmer breathes deeply. The familiar smell feels welcoming. Soon enough he will follow the dusty path back home. Soon enough he will sit among family and enjoy the cooler evening air. But for now, the field still holds his attention. The seeds still wait in the basket. The soil still waits beneath his hands. The Nile continues flowing quietly nearby. And beneath the warm golden light of late afternoon, another peaceful chapter of planting unfolds along the ancient river's edge. The afternoon slowly begins to surrender to evening. The change comes so gradually that few people notice it at first. The sun lowers little by little toward the western horizon. Shadows stretch farther across the fields. The bright light of midday softens into warm shades of gold. The farmer continues working. His movements are slower now than they were in the morning, not because he is rushing toward the end of the day, but because many hours of labor rest upon his shoulders. His hands feel worn. His back feels stiff. Yet there is also a quiet sense of accomplishment. The field before him has changed since sunrise. What was once bare soil now holds countless seeds beneath its surface. The work has meaning. That knowledge makes the effort easier to carry. Around him, other farmers move through the final hours of daylight. Some finish the rows they began earlier. Others inspect sections already planted. A few pause briefly to drink water while watching the sunlight dance across the Nile. No one speaks loudly. The evening naturally encourages softer voices. A gentle breeze drifts through the valley. It carries the scent of water and growing reeds. The air feels lighter now. More comfortable. The farmer lifts his head and looks toward the river. The Nile shines beneath the lowering sun. Its surface appears almost golden. Small boats move across the water, their dark shapes reflected in the rippling current. Some fishermen are returning toward shore. Others prepare for evening work. The river never truly becomes empty. At every hour of the day, someone depends upon its waters. The farmer watches a boat for a few moments before returning his attention to the soil. The simple sight brings him comfort. The Nile has been present throughout every stage of his life. As a child he played near its banks. As a young worker he carried water from its channels. As an adult he depends upon it for every harvest. The river feels almost like a silent companion. Always nearby. Always moving. Always giving life. Farther across the valley, smoke begins rising from village ovens. The sight is visible even from the fields. Thin gray streams climb gently into the evening sky. The smell follows soon after. Fresh bread. Warm grain. Cooking vegetables. The scents drift across the countryside on the breeze. Many workers notice immediately. A few smile. The familiar smells signal that the day is nearing its close. In one village home, dough is already being shaped into loaves. Hands move confidently through a process repeated thousands of times. Nearby, a clay oven glows with stored heat. Soon the bread will be ready. Children waiting outside will smell it before they see it. The aroma will spread through narrow streets and open courtyards. For many families, it is one of the most comforting parts of the day. Back in the fields, the farmer finishes another row. He stands slowly and stretches. The movement feels good. His muscles welcome the brief relief. Nearby, an older farmer does the same. Their eyes meet. Neither says much. Years of working side by side have created an understanding that needs few words. Both know the satisfaction of a productive day. Both know the exhaustion that follows it. The sun sinks lower. The sky begins changing colors. Blue slowly gives way to pale gold. Gold begins blending with orange. The transformation spreads across the entire valley. The Nile reflects every change. Its waters seem to hold the sky within them. Birds fly low above the river. Some head toward nests hidden among reeds. Others settle within palm trees near the villages. Their calls become more frequent as evening approaches. The sounds feel gentle against the growing quiet. The farmer resumes planting. Only a small portion of seeds remains in his basket now. He works carefully. There is no reason to hurry simply because the day is ending. Every seed deserves the same attention. Every row deserves the same care. The land rewards patience. The Nile rewards patience. Much of life here depends upon patience. Nearby, several younger workers gather completed tools and stack baskets together. Preparations for departure have quietly begun. No one announces it. No signal is needed. The lowering sun tells everyone what they need to know. The day's work is nearing its natural conclusion. Along one irrigation channel, water continues flowing softly. The channel reflects the golden sky. Its surface occasionally trembles as insects touch the water. The farmer pauses beside it. He kneels and washes dirt from his hands. The coolness feels pleasant after so many hours in the field. Small ripples spread outward, then disappear. Everything in the valley seems calm. Even the water moves without urgency. The farmer remains there for a moment, watching, listening. The simple sound of flowing water eases his tired mind. Nearby, another worker fills a clay cup. A few share a final drink before beginning the walk home. The water tastes fresh. Its coolness feels almost luxurious after the warmth of the day. The sun approaches the horizon. Its light now appears deeper and richer. The fields glow softly beneath it. Freshly planted soil takes on warm brown tones. Palm trees stand like dark silhouettes against the bright sky. The entire landscape seems wrapped in a peaceful glow. One by one, workers begin leaving the fields. The movement is gradual. A few depart. Then a few more. Soon small groups are making their way toward the villages. The farmer remains long enough to finish his final row. He places the last seed into the earth. Carefully covers it. Then slowly rises. For a moment he studies the field. The work completed today stretches before him. Not perfect. Not finished. There will always be more work tomorrow. But enough has been accomplished. The field has moved one step closer to harvest. That is what matters. He lifts his basket. The weight is much lighter now. The seeds are gone. Only dust remains inside. The farmer begins walking home. The road feels familiar beneath his sandals. Dust rises softly with each step. Other workers join him along the way. Some walk alone. Others travel in small groups. Conversation returns gradually. People speak about ordinary things. The condition of the fields. Family news. Plans for tomorrow. The discussions are relaxed. No one feels pressure to solve great problems. The day's labor is over. That alone brings a sense of ease. As they approach the village, more signs of evening appear. Children play near doorways. Women prepare meals. Animals return to sheltered areas. The scent of cooking food grows stronger. Warm bread. Lentils. Onions. Fresh fish from the river. The smells mingle together in the cooling air. The farmer feels hunger growing. His body reminds him how many hours have passed since breakfast. The meal waiting at home sounds wonderful. The sky continues darkening. Orange deepens into red. Red fades slowly toward purple. The first evening star appears above the eastern horizon. Soon others will follow. The farmer notices it briefly. Many people in the valley do. The stars are familiar companions. They arrive each night with quiet certainty. Just as the sun returns each morning. The rhythms of the heavens feel as dependable as the rhythms of the river. At last the farmer reaches his home. The mudbrick walls glow softly in the fading light. Smoke curls upward from nearby cooking fires. Voices drift through the village. The atmosphere feels warm and welcoming. He pauses for a moment outside his doorway. The day behind him has been long. The evening ahead promises rest. Inside, family members are preparing the meal. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey through the valley. The fields lie quiet beneath the fading sky. Fresh seeds rest beneath the soil. The air grows cooler with every passing moment. And across ancient Egypt, countless workers return home beneath the first stars of evening, carrying with them the peaceful weariness earned through another day of planting along the timeless banks of the Nile. Evening settles gently across the Nile Valley. The sun has slipped below the horizon, leaving behind a sky painted with fading shades of amber, rose, and violet. The last light lingers above the western desert while darkness slowly gathers among the fields and village streets. The farmer steps inside his home. The familiar coolness of the mud-brick walls welcomes him after the long day outside. The thick walls have spent hours shielding the interior from the strongest heat. Now, as night approaches, the room feels calm and comfortable. A small oil lamp flickers nearby. Its soft flame casts warm shadows across the walls. The smell of freshly baked bread fills the room. The farmer smiles faintly. After a day spent beneath the sun, few things are more comforting. Family members gather together. The children have already washed away much of the dust from their day. Older relatives settle carefully onto woven mats. Quiet conversation moves through the room like a gentle breeze. The meal begins. Bread is broken and shared. Simple vegetables are placed in clay bowls. A small portion of fish rests upon a tray near the center of the gathering. Water is poured from clay jars. Everyone eats slowly. There is no reason to hurry. The day's labor has ended. The evening belongs to rest. Outside, village life continues beneath the deepening twilight. Families sit near open doorways. Neighbors exchange greetings. Children chase one another through narrow paths for a little while longer before sleep eventually calls them home. The atmosphere feels peaceful. The heat that ruled the afternoon has finally loosened its grip. Cool air drifts through the settlement. Palm leaves rustle softly overhead. Far away, the Nile reflects the first stars. The farmer listens as his family speaks. One child describes seeing a fisherman bring in a large catch earlier in the day. Another talks about helping carry water. An older relative shares a memory from many years ago when the river rose especially high during flood season. The stories are simple. Yet they hold the household together. Every evening adds another layer to family memory. Another day remembered. Another day shared. After the meal, the clay dishes are carefully cleaned. Nothing is wasted. Food requires effort. Water requires effort. Every useful object within the home represents someone's labor. The people of the Nile understand this deeply. The farmer carries a water jar toward the doorway. Outside, the night has grown darker. More stars now fill the sky. The sight never becomes ordinary. Above the valley stretches a vast blanket of light. Thousands of tiny points shine against the darkness. Some seem bright and steady. Others appear faint and distant. The stars watched over his parents. They watched over his grandparents. Tonight they watch over him. The farmer steps into the open air. Nearby, several neighbors sit together speaking quietly. Their voices drift through the darkness. No one discusses grand events. The topics remain familiar. Harvests. Families. Animals. Weather. The condition of irrigation channels. The endless details of daily life. These small conversations create a sense of belonging. Everyone understands the challenges faced by everyone else. Everyone depends upon the same river. Everyone waits for the same crops to grow. The Nile connects them all. Across the village, lamps glow softly behind open doorways. From a distance, the settlement appears like a collection of small stars scattered across the earth. Each light marks a home. A family. A story. Some households remain awake longer than others. A baker prepares supplies for tomorrow morning. A fisherman checks his nets one final time. A merchant counts goods stored safely inside a room. Most people, however, are simply resting. The day's work has earned them that comfort. Along the riverbank, a quiet stillness settles over the water. Several boats rest against wooden posts. Their reflections sway gently in the current. The Nile moves through the darkness almost silently. Only the faint sound of water touching the shore breaks the silence. A young fisherman stands beside his boat for a moment. He looks across the moonlit surface. Tomorrow he will return to the river. Tomorrow he will cast his nets. Tonight he simply enjoys the peaceful view. Eventually he turns and walks back toward the village. The river remains alone beneath the stars. Inside the farmer's home, preparations for sleep begin. The oil lamp burns lower. Children grow quieter. One by one, they settle onto woven mats. Their eyes become heavy. The long day has taken its toll. Soon soft breathing fills part of the room. The adults speak in hushed voices. No one wishes to disturb the children. The farmer leans back against the wall. His body feels pleasantly tired. The ache in his shoulders reminds him of the hours spent planting. His hands remain rough from handling soil and tools. Yet there is satisfaction in the weariness. The seeds are planted. The work moved forward. That is enough. Outside, the night deepens further. The moon rises higher above the valley. Its silver light spills across rooftops and pathways. Palm trees cast long shadows. The fields beyond the village rest quietly beneath the sky. Beneath the soil, the newly planted seeds remain hidden. Nothing about the fields appears different from a distance. Yet change has already begun. Moisture surrounds the seeds. The earth protects them. Time will do the rest. Nature works patiently. There is no need for haste. The farmer thinks about tomorrow. Only briefly. There will be more planting. More walking. More hours beneath the sun. The routine is familiar. Predictable. Comforting. The seasons have followed similar patterns throughout his life. The river rises. The river falls. Seeds enter the ground. Plants emerge. Harvest arrives. Then the cycle begins once more. These rhythms shape every part of existence along the Nile. Eventually the final evening tasks are completed. The remaining lamp is adjusted. Water jars are covered. The doorway is secured for the night. The household grows still. One by one, the adults settle onto their sleeping mats. The farmer stretches out carefully. The woven fibers beneath him feel familiar. The room is dark except for the faint glow of the dying lamp. Outside, the village continues falling deeper into silence. Conversations fade. Footsteps disappear. Animals settle comfortably into their resting places. The night takes hold. Only a few sounds remain. A breeze moving through palm leaves. The distant cry of a night bird. The steady flow of the Nile. The farmer closes his eyes. His breathing slows. The events of the day drift gently through his mind. The cool dawn. The rich soil. The irrigation channels. The afternoon shade beneath the palms. The golden fields of evening. The warm meal shared with family. Each memory feels soft and distant. Like ripples spreading across calm water. Soon even those thoughts begin to fade. Sleep approaches quietly. Outside the home, the Nile continues its endless journey beneath the moonlight. The river glides past sleeping villages. Past fields waiting for growth. Past fishermen's boats resting beside the shore. The water never stops. It simply continues onward through the darkness. The stars wheel slowly overhead. The moon climbs higher. The cool night air settles across the valley. And throughout ancient Egypt, countless farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, and families drift into peaceful sleep, while the great river watches silently over the land that depends upon its gentle flow. The night grows deeper over the Nile Valley. Most of the village sleeps now. The lamps have gone dark one by one, leaving only moonlight to illuminate the narrow pathways between homes. The sounds of daytime activity have completely faded. No voices drip through the air. No tools scrape against wood or stone. Only the quiet sounds of the night remain. A gentle breeze moves across the fields. Palm leaves rustle softly. Somewhere near the river, a night bird calls once before falling silent again. The Nile flows steadily through it all. The farmer sleeps peacefully. His body welcomes the rest. The long hours spent planting beneath the sun have left every muscle tired. The woven mat beneath him feels comfortable. Nearby, his family sleeps as well. The room is still. The darkness feels safe. Outside, moonlight spills across the village roofs. The pale light reveals familiar shapes. Mud brick walls. Storage jars standing beside doorways. Bundles of reeds stacked neatly near courtyards. Everything appears calm beneath the silver glow. A cat moves silently through one of the narrow streets. It pauses briefly, listening. Then disappears into the shadows between two buildings. The village returns to silence. Farther away, beyond the homes, the fields stretch toward the river. During the day these fields are filled with workers. Now they belong to the night. The freshly planted rows rest undisturbed beneath the stars. The soil still holds some of the warmth gathered during daylight. Beneath that soil, thousands upon thousands of seeds wait quietly. Nothing about their appearance suggests the future hidden within them. Yet each one contains possibility. A future stalk of grain. A future loaf of bread. A future meal shared around a family table. The work of the day now rests entirely in the hands of time. The farmer cannot hurry it. No one can. Nature follows its own pace. The Nile follows its own pace. The stars above follow theirs. Hours pass slowly. The moon travels across the sky. Its reflection shifts along the surface of the river. At times the Nile appears like a ribbon of silver winding through darkness. Small ripples catch the light, then disappear. A fisherman sleeping near the riverbank stirs briefly before settling once again. His boat rocks gently beside the shore. Tomorrow will bring another day upon the water. Tonight there is only rest. In another part of the village, a baker sleeps after rising long before dawn the previous morning. His hands, accustomed to kneading dough and tending ovens, finally lie still. Nearby, a potter rests after shaping clay vessels throughout the day. A weaver sleeps. A merchant sleeps. Children sleep. The entire community gathers strength for tomorrow. The Nile Valley itself seems to rest. The air cools further during the darkest hours before dawn. The heat stored in walls and earth gradually fades. The temperature becomes pleasant. Comfortable. Many people consider this the finest part of the night. The farmer turns slightly upon his mat. His breathing remains slow and steady. Outside, the stars continue shining overhead. They appear brighter now than they did earlier in the evening. The sky seems endless. Countless points of light stretch from one horizon to the other. Generations of Egyptians have looked upward and seen the same sight. The stars connect every age, every season, Every life lived beside the river. Slowly, very slowly, the night begins moving toward morning. At first the change is impossible to notice. The darkness remains complete. The stars remain bright. The village remains silent. Yet somewhere beyond the eastern horizon, a new day has already begun its approach. The hours continue passing. The moon lowers gradually. A faint chill enters the air. Dew gathers lightly upon plants near the river. The reeds along the shoreline glisten beneath the moonlight. Water birds shift within their nests. The countryside prepares itself for dawn. Long before sunlight appears, nature senses its arrival. The farmer sleeps through these subtle changes. His body needs the rest. Tomorrow will bring another day of walking, planting, lifting, and working beneath the Egyptian sky. For now, sleep remains his only task. Eventually, the stars nearest the eastern horizon begin fading. Only slightly. The change is almost invisible. Yet it continues. Little by little. The darkness softens. A faint grayness appears in the distance. The moon loses some of its brilliance. The Nile remains calm beneath the growing light. A bird calls from the reeds. Then another. The first sounds of morning have arrived. The village remains asleep. But not for much longer. The farmer's eyes slowly open. For a moment he lies still. The room around him remains dim. The familiar outlines of clay jars and baskets are barely visible. The air feels cool. Pleasant. He listens. Outside, the earliest birds are already awake. The sound reaches him through the quiet darkness. Morning is approaching. He sits up slowly. His muscles remind him of yesterday's labor. A stiffness lingers in his shoulders and back. It is not unpleasant. Simply familiar. The feeling accompanies nearly every morning during planting season. Nearby, other family members begin stirring. Blankets shift. Someone yawns softly. The household wakes gradually. No one rushes. There is time. The farmer stands and steps outside. The sky remains dark, but the eastern horizon now carries a pale glow. The village appears peaceful in the half-light. Palm trees stand motionless against the brightening sky. The Nile reflects faint traces of dawn. Everything feels calm. Fresh. Untouched. This quiet period before sunrise belongs to those who wake early. The farmer treasures it. The world seems gentler at this hour. A cool breeze drifts across the valley. It carries the scent of damp earth and river water. The smell feels refreshing after the warmth of yesterday. Nearby, another door opens. Then another. Other workers are waking as well. Soon small points of light appear inside several homes as lamps are briefly lit. The village begins stirring. Very slowly. A rooster calls. The sound echoes through the settlement. Moments later, another answers from farther away. The farmer smiles faintly. These sounds mark the beginning of countless days. Inside the house, preparations for breakfast have begun. Bread from the previous day remains available. Fresh water waits in clay jars. Simple foods are arranged for the morning meal. The family gathers quietly. No one speaks much yet. Sleep still lingers. The meal is simple but welcome. The farmer eats slowly. The food provides energy for the hours ahead. Outside, the eastern sky brightens further. Gold begins mixing with pale blue. The stars disappear one by one. Night retreats. Day advances. Soon the village becomes fully awake. Smoke rises from cooking fires. Voices return. Children emerge from homes. Donkeys shift and stretch after a night of rest. The peaceful silence of darkness gives way to the gentle activity of morning. The farmer collects his tools. The wooden hoe feels familiar in his hands. A basket waits beside the doorway. Its woven sides show signs of years of use. These simple objects have accompanied him through many seasons. Today they will accompany him again. He steps onto the dusty path leading toward the fields. Other farmers are already walking in the same direction. Some greet him with a nod. Others simply smile. Words are unnecessary. Everyone knows where they are going. Everyone knows what awaits them. Ahead, the Nile Valley slowly awakens beneath the first true light of dawn. The river glimmers softly. Birds rise from the reeds. Mist lingers above the water. The fields stretch outward beneath the growing sky. Another day of planting is beginning. Another day of patient labor. Another day shaped by the steady rhythm of the Nile. And as the first rays of sunlight touch the fertile earth, the farmers once again make their way toward the waiting fields, carrying with them the quiet determination that has sustained life along the river for countless generations. The first sunlight of the new day spreads slowly across the Nile Valley. Golden rays touch the tops of palm trees first. Then they reach the village roofs, the irrigation channels, the dusty roads, and finally the dark fertile fields waiting beside the river. The farmer walks steadily along the familiar path. The air remains cool. This is one of the most pleasant moments of the entire day. The heat has not yet arrived. The countryside feels fresh and quiet. A light mist lingers above parts of the river, drifting slowly over the water before fading beneath the strengthening sunlight. Ahead, other farmers move toward the fields. Their silhouettes appear dark against the brightening horizon. Some carry baskets. Others balance tools across their shoulders. The scene has repeated itself for generations. Each morning, before the sun becomes strong, workers leave their homes and return to the land that feeds their families. The farmer reaches the edge of the field. He pauses briefly. The rows planted during previous days stretch across the landscape. The soil appears calm and undisturbed. Yet beneath its surface, tiny changes are already taking place. Moisture surrounds the buried seeds. The earth protects them. The process has begun. Nothing visible yet. Nothing dramatic. Only the quiet work of nature. The farmer kneels and touches the soil. It feels cool from the night. He crumbles a small handful between his fingers. The texture tells him much. Years of experience have taught him how to read the land. He knows when the soil holds enough moisture. He knows when irrigation is needed. He knows where growth is likely to be strongest. The field speaks in subtle ways. Those who spend their lives upon it learn to listen. Nearby, other workers begin preparing for the day. Baskets are set down. Tools are arranged. Water jars are placed beneath whatever shade can be found for later. The atmosphere feels calm. No one rushes to begin. The work will continue for many hours. A steady pace is more valuable than a fast one. The sun rises higher. Birds fill the air with soft calls. Several fly low across the fields before settling near an irrigation channel. Their reflections tremble in the moving water. The farmer watches them briefly. Then he returns to his task. Seeds pass through his fingers. The soil opens and closes over them. Again. And again. And again. The rhythm returns almost immediately. Place the seed. Cover it carefully. Move forward. Repeat. The movements feel as natural as breathing. Around him, dozens of other workers perform similar motions. Together they transform the landscape one row at a time. Farther away, the Nile glides quietly through the valley. Several fishing boats are already moving across its surface. The fishermen began their day before sunrise. Many of them have been awake for hours. They know the river as deeply as the farmers know the fields. Every profession along the Nile follows its own rhythm. Yet all of those rhythms remain connected. The baker depends upon grain. The fisherman depends upon water. The merchant depends upon both. Everyone depends upon everyone else. The valley functions because countless ordinary people perform their tasks faithfully each day. As the morning progresses, sunlight spreads fully across the countryside. The mist disappears. The sky becomes clear and bright. Palm leaves shimmer in the gentle breeze. The farmer feels grateful for the cool air. He knows it will not last forever. By midday, the heat will return. For now, however, conditions are ideal. The workers make good progress. Rows lengthen steadily. Prepared soil gradually disappears beneath carefully planted seeds. A younger farmer nearby asks an older worker a question about irrigation. The older man answers patiently. He points toward a channel and explains how water should be directed during the coming days. The lesson is simple, yet important. Knowledge travels this way throughout the valley. One conversation at a time. One season at a time. The farmer overhears part of the discussion. It reminds him of lessons he received when he was young. His father taught him many of the same things. How to judge moisture in the soil. How to recognize signs of healthy growth. How to work with the river instead of against it. These lessons cannot be rushed. They require years of observation. Years of patience. The Nile rewards those willing to learn slowly. A soft breeze crosses the field. The scent of water drifts inland. The farmer lifts his head and looks toward the river. Sunlight sparkles across the surface. From this distance, the Nile appears peaceful. Yet its influence reaches every corner of the valley. Without the river, these fields would not exist. Without the river, these villages would vanish. Every loaf of bread begins with water carried here by the Nile. The thought feels comforting. The river is dependable. Its presence provides reassurance. As the hours pass, activity increases throughout the countryside. Children carry supplies. Donkeys move along dusty roads. Merchants begin their journeys. Smoke rises from village ovens. The smell of baking bread once again drifts through the air. Workers notice it immediately. Many smile. The scent feels familiar. It belongs to morning. It belongs to home. Near one irrigation channel, several laborers begin clearing accumulated reeds. The work is repetitive but necessary. Water must move freely. Blockages can reduce irrigation to entire sections of farmland. The workers use simple tools. Mud splashes lightly against their legs. The channel gradually clears. Water flows more smoothly. Another small task completed. The farmer appreciates these efforts. Every person contributes something. The harvest depends upon many hands. Not just those placing seeds into the soil. The sun climbs higher. Shadows shorten. The morning continues unfolding. The farmer drinks from a water jar. The cool water refreshes him. Nearby, another worker wipes sweat from his brow. The first hints of warmth are beginning to appear. Nothing uncomfortable yet. Only a reminder that the day is advancing. The field grows busier. Voices rise and fade. Stories are exchanged. News travels between neighboring workers. Someone speaks about a new baby born in the village. Another mentions repairs being made to a storage building. The conversations are ordinary. Yet they create a sense of connection. The farmers do not work as strangers. Most have known one another for years. Some for their entire lives. Together they have experienced floods, harvests, celebrations, and difficult seasons. The land has shaped them into a community. The farmer pauses and looks across the valley. The view feels timeless. Fields stretching toward the horizon. Palm trees standing against the sky. The river winding through fertile land. Boats moving silently across the water. It is easy to imagine that yesterday looked much the same. And the day before that. And the year before that. The rhythms of life change very slowly here. That slowness brings comfort. There is no need to hurry. The crops will grow at their own pace. The river will follow its own course. The sun will cross the sky whether anyone notices or not. The farmer returns to his work. The soil crumbles softly beneath his fingers. The basket gradually grows lighter. Another row takes shape behind him. Another small piece of the future settles into the earth. The breeze continues moving through the valley. Birds call from distant reeds. The Nile glitters beneath the brightening sun. And beneath the peaceful light of morning, the ancient work of planting continues quietly along the life-giving banks of the great river. The morning continues unfolding with quiet patience. The sun rises steadily above the Nile Valley, brightening every corner of the landscape. Light spills across the fields, glimmers upon irrigation channels, and dances across the gentle surface of the river. The farmer remains focused on his work. His hands move with practiced ease. One seed after another disappears beneath the dark soil. The motion feels almost effortless now. Years of repetition have turned labor into rhythm. The body remembers what it must do. The mind drifts peacefully through familiar thoughts. Around him, the countryside grows more active. The villages are fully awake. Children carry water jars along dusty paths. Donkeys transport supplies between homes and workshops. Bakers tend their ovens. Potters shape clay. Weavers sit beside looms. The valley hums softly with life. Yet even at its busiest, the atmosphere remains calm. Nothing feels hurried. The pace of the Nile encourages patience. The farmer pauses briefly and straightens his back. The morning air still carries a trace of coolness, though warmth is beginning to build. He can feel the change upon his skin. Soon enough the sun will become stronger. For now, the conditions remain pleasant. He takes a drink from a nearby water jar. The clay container remains cool from the night. Tiny droplets of moisture cling to its surface. The water refreshes him immediately. Nearby, several workers share a quiet conversation while continuing their tasks. Their voices rise and fall gently. They speak about the river. About family. About the condition of nearby fields. The discussions require no urgency. The work continues while they talk. A farmer can plant seeds and share stories at the same time. The rhythm allows it. Beyond the fields, the Nile flows quietly. Several fishing boats move along its surface. Their sails catch the morning breeze. From a distance they seem to glide effortlessly through the water. The fishermen stand calmly inside their boats, watching the river with experienced eyes. Like the farmers, they understand the value of observation. The Nile rewards those who pay attention. A sudden movement near an irrigation channel catches the farmer's eye. Several white birds have landed beside the water. They step carefully through the mud, searching for food. Their reflections shimmer upon the surface. For a few moments, the workers watch them. Then attention returns to the fields. Life and work exist side by side here. Neither interrupts the other. The farmer kneels beside another row. The soil feels slightly warmer now. Sunlight has been touching it for several hours. Yet the earth still holds moisture left behind by the river's generosity. He presses another seed into place. Then another. The basket beside him slowly grows lighter. The field behind him grows fuller. Progress happens quietly. Almost invisibly. Yet it happens all the same. Farther away, a pair of young boys carry bundles of reeds toward a village workshop. The load looks heavy for their age. Still, they manage it together. Their sandals kick up small clouds of dust with every step. An older craftsman waits outside the workshop and nods approvingly as they arrive. The reeds will be used for baskets, mats, and other useful items. Nothing goes to waste. Nearly everything in the valley serves a purpose. The farmer has often admired this. The reeds from the river. The mud from the floodplain. The wood carried from distant places. The stone shaped by craftsmen. Every material finds its place within daily life. Even the smallest object represents someone's effort. A gentle wind moves across the fields. The breeze creates tiny waves along the tops of nearby grasses. Palm fronds sway overhead. The sound resembles soft whispering. Many workers pause briefly to enjoy it. The cooler air feels welcome. The farmer closes his eyes for a moment and listens. The rustling leaves. The distant birds. The flowing water. The quiet conversations. Together they create the soundtrack of the Nile Valley. No grand music could feel more familiar. As the sun climbs higher, activity near the roads increases. Several merchants pass by the fields. Their donkeys carry baskets filled with goods. One merchant pauses to exchange greetings with a group of farmers. The conversation lasts only a few moments. News travels quickly this way. A few words shared along a roadside can carry information from one village to another. The merchant soon continues his journey. The road stretches ahead through the fertile countryside. The farmer watches him disappear into the distance. Then returns once again to the soil. The repetition never feels endless. The land itself changes constantly in small ways. Light shifts. Birds move. The breeze comes and goes. The river sparkles differently from one hour to the next. There is always something subtle to notice. A nearby farmer points toward the sky. Several birds circle high above the valley. Their wings catch the sunlight. For a few moments they glide without effort. Then they drift toward the river and vanish beyond a stand of palms. The workers follow them with their eyes. Then return to their tasks. The morning continues. Slowly. Peacefully. Steadily. In the village, bread continues baking. The smell drifts outward again. Warm grain. Fresh crust. The scent carries surprisingly far upon the breeze. The farmer notices it immediately. The smell reminds him of home. Of family gathered around evening meals. Of mornings spent eating before work. Simple things often bring the greatest comfort. A little farther away, a woman walks carefully along a path carrying a basket balanced upon her head. Her posture remains perfectly steady. Years of practice have made the task seem effortless. She moves between homes, exchanging supplies with neighbors. These small daily exchanges help bind the community together. The villages of the Nile depend upon cooperation. People share knowledge, share labor, share resources. Everyone benefits. The farmer appreciates this deeply. No harvest belongs entirely to one person. Many hands contribute. Many people play a role. The irrigation channels, especially, remind him of that truth. Entire groups of workers maintain them throughout the year. Without those efforts, planting would become far more difficult. As the sun approaches the middle portion of the morning, the warmth becomes more noticeable. Sweat appears upon brows. Shadows grow shorter. Workers drink water more frequently. The signs are familiar. The day is progressing exactly as expected. No one complains. This is simply life beside the Nile. The sun brings heat. The river brings relief. The cycle continues. The farmer wipes dust from his hands and studies the field ahead. Many rows remain. Many rows have already been completed. Both facts feel equally true. There is always more work. There is always progress. The secret is not to think too far ahead. One row at a time. One basket at a time. One day at a time. This wisdom has served generations well. The farmer learned it from older workers when he was young. Now he quietly passes it to those who follow. A younger laborer nearby seems eager to move faster. The farmer smiles and offers a few gentle words. There is no need to hurry. The crops will not grow faster because the worker rushes. The earth prefers patience. The younger man nods. Then settles into a steadier pace. The lesson requires no further explanation. Across the valley, sunlight reflects from the Nile like polished gold. The river continues flowing northward. The boats continue moving. The fields continue filling with seeds. The villages continue their daily routines. Everything feels connected. Everything moves together. And beneath the widening sky of another Egyptian morning, the quiet work of planting carries on, guided by the steady hands of ordinary people whose lives rise and fall with the timeless rhythm of the Nile. Here is the final ending of the story. The days continue. The river continues. The seasons continue. For many months after the planting is finished, the Nile Valley follows its familiar rhythm. The seeds hidden beneath the dark earth slowly awaken. Tiny roots reach downward. Tender green shoots rise toward the sunlight. The farmers watch patiently. There is little they can do except care for the fields, tend the irrigation channels, and trust the ancient partnership between river, soil, sun, and time. The Nile remains faithful. Its waters glide past villages and fields just as they always have. Boats drift quietly upon its surface. Fishermen cast their nets. Children play near the riverbank. Bread bakes in clay ovens. Palm leaves sway in the warm breeze. Life continues. The crops grow taller. The valley becomes greener. And eventually, after many peaceful weeks, the fields that once held only buried seeds begin waving gently beneath the Egyptian sky. The farmer sees this and feels content. Not proud. Not excited. Simply content. The work was worthwhile. The earth has answered. The river has provided. Another season has unfolded exactly as countless seasons unfolded before. Years pass. Children become adults. Young workers become experienced farmers. New families settle into old homes. The river witnesses it all. Generation after generation comes and goes beside its banks. Yet the Nile remains, flowing quietly through the heart of the land, carrying water through the valley, reflecting the stars each night, greeting the sun each morning. And now, as our journey slowly draws to a close, evening settles once more across ancient Egypt. The sun sinks behind the western horizon. Golden light fades from the fields. The birds return to their nests among the reeds. Fishing boats drift toward shore. Smoke rises from village ovens. The smell of warm bread fills the cooling air. Families gather together. Children grow sleepy. Voices soften. One by one, lamps begin glowing inside mud-brick homes. The farmer sits quietly outside his doorway. The day's work is done. The season's work is done. The river moves gently nearby. He listens to the sound of water. A sound he has known his entire life. A sound his parents knew. A sound his grandparents knew. The same water flows past the fields, past the villages, past the boats resting beside the shore. The same water glimmers beneath the first evening stars. Above him, the sky slowly darkens. One star appears. Then another. And another. Soon the heavens are filled with countless points of light. The Nile reflects them softly. The fields grow quiet. The roads empty. The village settles into stillness. A cool breeze moves through the palm trees. The leaves whisper gently in the darkness. The farmer closes his eyes. The river continues flowing. The stars continue shining. The night continues deepening. Nothing needs to be hurried. Nothing needs to be finished. The ancient world simply rests. And beside the calm waters of the Nile, beneath a sky full of timeless stars, the valley drifts peacefully into silence. The river flows on. Softly. Steadily. Endlessly. And the night grows quiet. Quieter still. Until there is only the gentle sound of water moving through the darkness.